All right. Welcome back to Football United TV. This is the F.I.T.A show, Football in the Americas. I'm excited to say we're back. And I'm here with two of the original members, right? I'm excited. Let's get to the intro and then we'll chat some Libertadores. Off to a great start. I just realized that we had the banner up, so giving a little spoiler to the viewers, like what we're going to be touching on. But Johnny, my man, great to have you back. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to be back. Apologies to everyone for our absence, but we're going to try to be more consistent. And yeah, a lot has happened since the last time we've spoken, so there's lots to talk about.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're gonna give, as usual, right? As it used to be, we're gonna be giving a special promo for you guys to use. We're gonna be revealing it during the show. Esteban, hermanito, how are you?
Hey, mi
Great to have you
hermano.
back, my man.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. Different than John. I'm taking a coffee right here, Colombian coffee. So, really happy to be here. I'm rocking my Mexico T-shirt, but we're going to talk about mainly South American football. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, so happy to be here.
Well, that's we're expected to have some Mexican teams in the next
Some
Libertadores,
leagues up,
actually.
right?
There's
What?
rumors.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
rumors to match MLS, Mexico, and to bring them back to the Libertadores, right?
yeah, yeah. It's kind of crazy to try to put it for next year because the competitions are already like halfway through,
We
right?
want
So like
Messi. Everyone wants to see Messi.
exactly,
That's the reason. There's
exactly.
no other
But
reason.
but the whole spots thing, like imagine a club like they're in Libertadores spots, then all of a sudden they're not anymore because we want to have Messi. But yeah, we don't have too much time to get into that right now. The way we're gonna be working here, we're gonna go through the group stages because right now, like last week, we saw the first leg of the round of 16 happening. So we're gonna quickly go through the group stages, see if there was any surprises, and then we're gonna get to the interesting parts of the knockouts. Just give me 1 second here. Let me pull this up. Here it is. I'll just alternate with you two. If you guys want a specific group, do let me know. Does anyone want to go starting with Group A?
I can take Group A.
Go ahead.
This was a fun group, more than expected, because looking at it, we have Flamengo, that's the current champion, as well as Racing, that's a big club that has also won the Libertadores some decades back.
Yep.
And then we have Aucas, which, even though they're the current Ecuadorian champions, they're a small team. They're from the capital of Quito, but they won the league for the first time in 50, 60 years, something like that. So the Ecuadorian champion wasn't a big club this year. And Ñublense is a tiny club from Chile, also playing their first Libertadores ever. And they ended up in this group. So looking at it at first, it seemed like Flamengo and Racing would completely dominate. And if you look at the standings and if you look at the points, that's what it seems like. But I don't think it reflects what the games were. The very first game of this group was Flamengo Aucas in Quito, and Aucas won 2-1, which is like historic, completely
Yeah.
historic.
I think that no Brazilian team won on the first match, right? Even
Uh,
in
possible.
Sudamericana, only
You're
one.
right, 'cause Palmeiras lost against Bolivar.
We won. Millonarios won against. Speaking about Sudamericana against América Mineiro.
It's possible.
Yeah, it was surprising.
Yeah, it was a slow start for Brazilians.
Fluminense won the first game.
Fluminense won the first game. Yeah,
Yeah. We
but
won the first three, then we stopped playing pretty much.
yeah,
We stopped playing football, like more or less at that time.
but yeah. So then eventually things went back to normal. Flamengo beat Nublense and Aucas at home. Got a point in Chile against Nublense as well. Beat Racing in the Maracanã. So eventually things ended up finishing the way it did, but the games were tougher than imagined. And I think also the normal, in quotation marks, the normal thing to happen would have been to Flamengo end up in front of Racing, but Flamengo's slow start didn't allow that to happen.
Do we blame Sampaoli on Flamengo's like performance?
So the loss against Aucas was not
Before.
Sampaoli, but Sampaoli was the tie against Nublense 1-1, which was also very disappointing results. But in the last 20 games, Flamengo only lost one. So they're on a really good streak with Sampaoli right now. So I think the early bad results can be more attributed to the past coach, which was a disaster, more than Sampaoli himself. Now things seem to be looking better for the club.
Because Racing they were really struggling with Argentinian league. Actually, I think that they are in the middle of the table, so it is kind of shocking to see them up of Flamengo. So it was really. I think that I said it the last time we reviewed the Libertadores with Charlie and Marlie. That it is good to see that their dominance is kind of over, because you are expecting always to see them up front, but it's good to see these kind of groups, because it's not only good for the competition, but I think that it will be good for them to wake up and say like, hey, money is not everything. We can have a lot of international players, but it's nothing if we don't have like a match style or a play style that help us.
Yeah.
Definitely. Flamengo's biggest rival is Flamengo himself. That's kind of the truth. Flamengo,
They're still in a huge mess, but they're winning because they have amazing talent.
because exactly. If Flamengo was well organized, well directed, they would be lifting trophies every 3 months. So we'll see. It kind of depends on Flamengo himself, but they ended up second in the group, and they still had luck in my point of view in the draw for the next round. But we'll get to that later. In Racing's point of view, I think the main thing to point out is that they lost their best player, Rojas, went to Corinthians in Brazil. That was a big loss. He actually scored a goal from midfield playing against Nublense in Chile. For me, it's the goal of the tournament right now, like 60 meters out, shot it over the keeper. Amazing goal. So Group A, even though it had a slow start, I think at the end things fell into place as we imagined, more or less.
Yeah, I mean, just reversing Flamengo and Racing, right? Like that would be what people were expecting.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, both went through, and both of them, at least Flamengo is still favored to go to the final on their side of the bracket. We'll see that later.
Oh yeah, you guys will see in a bit that like finishing first or second didn't matter all too much in this Libertadores. Like there were a lot of really good second places here. All right, Esteban, Group B.
Okay, but this group, I think that the most surprising thing is to see Nacional up front of Independiente Medellin. I really consider that Uruguay's football right now is not at its best. So we can see it with Peñarol. They struggled with Copa Sudamericana, even though they won the league. And same with Nacional. You don't hear big names or some wonder kid around. So it was kind of shocking. Medellin is definitely not a big force right here in Colombia at the moment, but they are a solid group. So yeah, it is kind of shocking because they lost in the last match. They lost against Nacional, and Nacional took the second spot. So it was kind of disappointing. Those kind of people that, despite of the team, when it comes to international competitions, I kind of cheer for all of the Colombian teams, unless one or two that I don't really like. But yeah, there is no surprise with Metropolitanos, a small team. I think it's their first Copa Libertadores participation. So I think it's just a transition for them. But if you take a look at the first three, it was really tight, really, really
Yeah.
tight. Even looking at Internacional, only 12 points and two points difference between one and third. It was a really good group.
Yeah, really tight. And you know, like when it comes to punching bags, I know that they didn't get any points, but you know, it's not like they conceded a ridiculous amount of goals, Metropolitan. Like it could be worse.
Yeah, I think given the circumstances of the country of Venezuela as a whole, and
Yeah.
also Metropolitanos, kind of like Aucas, was the champion of Venezuela, but tiny, tiny team. It's a new team. I don't think they're even 10 years old. They're from the
Okay.
capital of Caracas, but no fans. They almost play in an empty stadium almost every time. So, as a first experience in the Libertadores in a group that was this tough, it was hard to imagine anything else.
Okay.
But it
That's good.
wasn't disastrous. We've definitely seen teams in Venezuela do worse.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. Let's jump to Group C. We have another one of the favorites here. John, you want to take this one?
Sure, yeah. So, as I mentioned a little earlier, Palmeiras lost the first game in Bolivia against Bolivar. They had an important match domestically just 3 days after that first game, so they decided to go to La Paz with the reserve team because playing in the altitude of Bolivia is exhausting both physically and mentally. So the idea was that's a game where even with their starters, we're probably going to lose points either way, and because we need to save up for this important game, let's just send our reserve team anyway. That's what they
Johnny, like
did. They
really,
lost.
a lot of
Was
Brazilian teams did this in this group stages, right? Fluminense did the same thing. I
yeah,
think Flamengo did the same thing.
yeah. The Libertadores started in the same 2 weeks of the finals of the state championships.
Yeah.
Um, and so the teams that were involved in the final opted to do that. Fluminense did the same thing, right?
Yeah. I think
So
Fluminense was actually like after the Carioca. It was right in the middle of Brasileirão, but it's now like we're most likely going to be dropping points. I actually like feel like if Fluminense went with a full lineup, we could have gotten a draw.
yeah,
But yeah, you just like reckon you're going to lose points. It's tough to play there. It's like it's really tough. That's a whole different conversation. But yeah, keep going. I'm sorry.
no, no, don't be. That was um, so yeah. So Palmeiras after that first game did what everyone imagined they would do. They won 5 games in a row. Um, because except for the altitude in Bolivia for that away game, all the other games are relatively simple considering the force that is Palmeiras today.
Yeah.
Barcelona isn't as strong as it was last year or 2 years ago. Cerro Porteño isn't either. And both of those teams don't play in high altitudes. Barcelona's a bit of a far travel, but Cerro Porteño is only 2 3 hours away from Sao Paulo, the capital of Paraguay, Asuncion. Um, so it ended up being a pretty standard qualification for Palmeiras. Bolivar is worth mentioning. I don't think a lot of people know this. They're not part of the City Group per se, but they do have a partnership with the City Group. In my
I thought they
understanding,
were.
they're not they're not literally part. They're not one of the City Group clubs, but they have an agreement where they're allowed to use the database that the City Group has,
Like
the
for scouting.
scouting. yeah, scouting, all the data, all of that. And in exchange, the Citigroup has preference in buying players.
Okay.
Uh, but they're not literally part of the Citigroup. They're the only club that have done this. I think eventually, I mean, it's headed towards them just becoming part of the Citigroup because they have been investing in South America. Montevideo City was the first one. They just bought Bahia in Brazil. So it would make sense for Bolivar to be next, but as of now, it's just a partnership. And we can see the results of that. I mean, Bolivar finished 8 points ahead of the third place team, and then we'll see they're also doing well in the knockout stage already.
Yeah.
And then between Barcelona and Cerro Porteño, I think it was a pretty even match for that third spot that qualifies you to the Sudamericana, and Barcelona just took it on the goal difference, which basically came down to how badly each of those teams lost against Palmeiras in Brazil and Bolivar in La Paz.
Yeah. Do y'all agree that Palmeiras was the best team of the group stages?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, it's hard to. You can maybe put River Plate in a
They,
few
they
performances.
yeah, they
Okay.
a lot.
But like as consistently throughout the 6 games, Palmeiras.
And if you're talking about a few performances, I wanna throw another name in the hat, but
Yeah, we could throw another 2 or 3. Yeah.
yeah, but I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Actually, you know what, Esteban, if you want to take care of Group D as well,
I know
because
you want to. I know you want to. You can
Charlie,
take care
this
of
is
that.
your time to shine.
Yeah, yeah.
all right. For a brief moment in time, you guys might not believe me, but it was a fact. Fluminense was the best team in the world, and we won 3 games. It was good. Kanu was actually better than Holland for a brief moment in time. It was absolutely crazy the amount of goals that our striker was scoring. We beat River Plate 5-1 in Rio. We won the first 3 games. Then everything started going to crap, and River Plate showed why they're one of the biggest teams in the world. Like River Plate was doing horrible for the first half of the group stages, but they grew and they started like killing everyone, which landed them the second spot. Um, it was a pretty even group, like like with 2 games to go, everyone was still like at risk of getting eliminated or with a chance of qualifying. It was pretty tight. You had some altitude aspects as well with I think it's more the strongest,
The
right? Like
strongest.
has like
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
really high
Sporting
altitude.
Cristal plays at sea level.
Yeah, but Cristal were I I thought Cristal was gonna have a really hard time this group just because they don't have altitude. Fluminense and River were the clear favorites, so they did well to clinch that third spot. And yeah, I wasn't necessarily too happy with finishing first because there were so many good like second places. Like it didn't matter too much for the future, but I was still like proud. It's good. It's quite an accomplishment to finish first in this group because it was one of the groups of death, as we like to call them, right?
I think it
Because
was a group of death because it has the best two teams in South America, in my opinion. And it was kind of surprising seeing how River was performing in the National League and how they lost again. I think strongest they tied against Sporting Cristal the first game, and then the 5-1 against Fluminense. So it was kind of shocking, but I think that whenever they realized that they were just jogging in the Argentinian league, said like, okay, let's take this shit serious.
yeah,
We have River Plate, and they handled to go in second, but at some point they were really like, I don't know, like I don't know if the word was concerned about not going through, but yeah.
no, yeah, because they finished on 10 points, and like in the first three they only got three, the first 3 games, right? So they were looking really like they were in last place at some point. So they were like, it was looking like they could get really embarrassed because not even getting a Sudamericana spot for River Plate, like it doesn't even matter what group it is, but there it is.
Yeah. In Brazil, it's often said that the Brazilian clubs worry a lot about finishing first, whereas the Argentinian clubs worry more just about going through. And then once you're onto the knockout stage, it's a different tournament, different format, different everything. So they don't worry about it as much as Brazilians. Brazilians really focus a lot on how important it is to finish first and to play the second leg of the knockout stages at home and all that. But I really want to highlight Sporting Cristal. It's been a while since we've seen a Peruvian team do so well. And I mean, it's not even an amazing
Yeah.
performance. They didn't go through, but there's definitely been an improvement. I think in the past 5 years, a normal thing would have been for the strongest to finish in third place. But Sporting Cristal had a very organized team. They actually have a Brazilian coach, Thiago Nunes, which was a very promising coach that ended up not working out too well in Brazil, but he's still early in his career. And I think he did a good job at Sporting Cristal getting that spot in the Sudamericana. And yeah, they managed to get to the very last game of this group stage with a realistic chance of qualifying. They tied Fluminense in Brazil, but pressuring. The last 10 minutes, it looked like Sporting Cristal was closer to getting the second goal than Fluminense. So yeah, just want to highlight that because it's been a while since we've seen Peruvian's team at least be competitive, and we'll see once we get Alianza Lima. I think also got eliminated in a dignifying way. So yeah,
Right. I think that's all for Group D. Group E, Esteban.
Well, I think that I will never be tired of flirting with Independiente del Valle. They are just such an amazing team in such a small country. It is kind of impressive on how they focus on everything in the structure of the team. Just as a comment, I don't know if you looked at the under 15 Independiente del Valle team was in the Libertadores final against Boca Juniors for the fourth time in a row. This is the fourth year that under 15 team are in the finals. They lost against Boca, but it's definitely something to look at. And if you take a look at the great Ecuadorian talents, they are all from Independiente del Valle at the moment. And it's like we have said before, Independiente is not like 10 years ago, they were in third division, I believe, something like that. And to see them right here as leaders, as Libertadores group, is really impressive. It's really impressive, and it's something that not all of the South American clubs being out of Brazil and Argentina should look at. So I am not impressed to see them in first. I actually consider that they would be candidate to be in the finals. We will discuss about the knockout stages later on. Sorry, but yeah, it was really, really, really surprising to see how Corinthians perform. Actually, I think that the most shocking thing right here is Corinthians' performance. They had a really bad performance. We were expecting to see Corinthians first, Independiente second. That's because of the names. But yeah, I don't know what happened to them. Argentinos Juniors is a team that they are very regular. They are not the best team in Argentina, but they are not. They don't struggle with going to second division. They are always trying to get into international competitions, and they have really good players. I don't know, guys, if you have looked at Fernando Redondo's son. He plays for Argentinos Juniors. He's such like his dad. He's a center midfielder with a lot of quality, great vision of the game. And he's, I think, 22 years old, and is a name to discuss for the future of Argentina. Yeah, I really like to see, sorry guys, Brazil teams out of the group stages because we will spice the competition. We won't see 10 teams out of 16 in the knockout stages, Brazilian teams. So it is really good for the competition to see Ecuadorian teams, some Argentinian teams that are not that big. Yeah, I am really, really impressed with this group. I don't know, guys, what do you think?
I agree with every single word that Esteban said. Starting with Independiente del Valle, like he said, a lot of people think it's a new team, but it's Independiente del Valle. I think is almost 70 years old, but it got bought by investors and it became what it is today. It was even on a national level a somewhat insignificant team. But yeah, like he said, they really invested in the structure. They just inaugurated a new stadium recently. Their youth academy, as Esteban said, is incredible. And yeah, they're known as the giant killer. No, they made it to the Libertadores final in 2016, beating River and Boca on their way to the final, which was the first time in history that a team had done that. They won 2 Copa Sudamericanas after that, and they're still there. They're still. What was that?
They won the Copa Sudamericana
and the Recopa. You're right. You're completely right. And yeah, I think what happened was the investors that bought the club, their objective was and is to make money. But I think at some point they realized the player that's worth, I don't know, 5 million euros. If that player is playing in a team that's winning trophies, I can sell for 10 million. So then they started buying players like Marcelo Moreno, which you're not going to resell, you're not going to make a profit, but that helps your team be more competitive and reach more advanced stages in tournaments domestically and internationally. So very competitive. Definitely one of the contenders for the title. If you rank, I don't know, a top 5, a top 6, they're going to be in that list, in my opinion. And like Esteban said, it's not a surprise that they're in first place of the group. It is a surprise that Corinthians didn't finish second. But to shed some light on how that happened, Corinthians, in the beginning of the year, decided to make their assistant coach their head coach. It was his first time as a head coach in a professional team. And it had a few sparks of good moments, but overall it was a disaster. It lasted the 4 months that it did, and it cost them the qualification. But now Corinthians has Vanderlei Luxemburgo. Some of you guys might remember him from Real Madrid. In Brazil, he won everything with almost every big team. He's a veteran now, but the team is a lot more put together, and I think they're actually contenders for the Copa Sudamericana at the moment. So that's kind of what happened there. And Argentinos Juniors has I don't think they're favored for the title or even to go through to the quarterfinals, but definitely a competitive team.
Corinthians, just like little information there, Corinthians was kind of screwed over by the manager that got them to play well last season, or at least like got them to be competitive, but he quit under false pretense to join Flamengo, and it didn't work out. Like that's the manager that was putting Flamengo in a bad situation. Like Flamengo just couldn't win, and now they're doing a lot better without him, with Sampaoli, who's a very, very much so a winner. Right, let's try to go a little quicker for the other groups because we have a lot to go through. Group F. Anyone want to jump in?
I have something only to say about Deportivo Pereira. I think that Charlie, I really have heard about them because they won the first league ever, Colombian league, last year. It's a really small team from a really small city right here in Colombia, and they lost almost like 20 out of 25 players. They went all to different teams, and they kept their head coach, and they had to loan some players, get some others, and it is really surprising to see them there. It is really surprising because we all cheer because it reminds us of Once Caldas 2004, a small.
I swear I was going to ask that
city.
question.
Yeah, small team for a small city, just playing Libertadores. It's really exciting to see that it was not casual that they won. It was not casual that they had a great performance again against Boca Juniors right here. And yeah, it is really good to see them there. They are performing, I think, that decent in the knockout stages. We'll see what happens next. But yeah, it's no surprise to see Boca up front, maybe Colo-Colo in third. But yes, I think that that's the only thing that I have to say about this group.
Right.
Yeah, I
All right.
actually had the opportunity to catch a couple of Pereira's games, and I was gonna ask about Once Caldas because it does remind me a little bit of what that team was. Very physical, very fast, and they it's clear that they're trying to get the tie away and 1-0 at home. That's the strategy. Get the point away, 1-0 at home. And yeah, I have a little bit of nostalgia
And at
because of
home,
Musicadas
they,
with Pereira.
they don't play with something like they don't have altitude. They don't have Pereira is not a hot city. It's just a regular city, you know. So
Mhm.
to perform that good at the home, it means that you have a play structure where you know that you are going to I don't know, like deliver at home with your people, because uh, I think that the Pereira people are just starting to look at football because they were in second division like 3 years ago. And you know, when teams are not performing, people doesn't go to the stadium. So yeah, this is how it is right here in Colombia. But now people are with them, and it's really nice to see them there.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything to add to this group, Johnny?
Um, just to say that the same way that I was saying that it's nice to see that the Peruvian teams seem to be doing better and they seem to be more competitive. I think the Chilean teams are terrible to look at. The big teams are a shadow of what they used to be. Colo Colo was very disappointing. They got both. I mean, they were the only team that managed not to beat Monagas. First of all, so yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame to see what the Chilean league has become.
Absolutely. Yeah. Colo Colo used to be quite competitive. Like, I don't know if they've won a lot, but they used to be quite competitive, like in the 2008s, 2007s, like
They're
around that
uh,
time.
they're the only Chilean team to ever win the Libertadores in 1990, if I'm not mistaken, 90 or
Yeah.
91.
There you go.
Yeah,
Group G was another pretty competitive group, wouldn't you say? Like two very good Atléticos and Libertad's another, like, they might not be doing too well right now, but another big club as well. Who wants to talk about that one?
I can take this one because I followed it pretty closely because of the Brazilian clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's sort of like Group A. Sorry, guys. This one is kind of like Group A started kind of weird because Atlético Mineiro lost at home against Libertad, which actually led to a legendary press conference by Atlético's coach. And Atlético Paranaense tied Alianza Lima in Peru, which in and of itself, you think, okay, a tie away from home isn't bad. But again, historically, the Peruvian teams have been pretty terrible. So it was kind of a big deal. Um, and then again, just like Group A with Flamengo and Racing, things ended up kind of falling into place as we imagined them. Um, Historically, you would say Atletico Mineiro would be favored to finishing first, but in recent history, in the last couple of years, they've definitely proven to be a more organized team than Atletico Mineiro. Atletico Mineiro has lots of money and they don't spend it wisely.
Yeah.
Um, but at the end of the day, it's pretty standard. I think if you had asked us before the tournament started, we would have given you a table that would have looked a lot like this, and yeah, and Libertad got that third place. I don't think they're favored for in the Copa Sudamericana, but they're definitely a team that you would want to avoid.
All right. And to close it off, Group H, Esteban.
Yeah, this is the group where I say that there are some Colombian teams that I don't like. Definitely, there is Atlético Nacional over there. I don't know, guys, if you remember when in a press conference, Piqué was asked about Real Madrid's performance. He said, "I always want them to lose." This is what happens to me with Atlético Nacional. But we are all here surprised that they lost the first spot in the last two games. They performed terribly in the last two games. I think that it matches up with the performance in Colombian league. My team had the chance to win the final against this team, and I think that the last 4 or 5 games they had overall, they didn't win. So, but they had a really first leg of the group stages. Right now, they are not at the best moment they have, but they have some big names here for Colombian football, and you always it's just like the big team essence. You always expect them to win, not even if they are not playing well, even if they are not really, I don't know, dominant, but they always win. So it was kind of surprising, and same. It's really good to see giant clubs like Olympia in the first position. I know that Paraguayan football is not at its best at the moment, so it's really good to see. And no one expected anything from Patronato or Melgar. Actually, I know that Melgar, they lost their head coach at the beginning of this year because right now Nestor Lorenzo is Colombia's national team coach. So with Lorenzo, they had a kind of an essence. They had a project. They were doing really good, and I think that that affect a lot to this team because it's definitely not the team that they were last year when they won the league. So that definitely didn't help them a lot. So, but yeah, I know that these small clubs get a lot of money for being here. It's something really important for them, and hopefully they use well that money.
Yeah, yeah. Melgar got to the Copa Sudamericana semifinal
Yeah,
last year, I guess, and they lost against Independiente del Valle. So yeah, I was actually expecting them to do a little better. I expected them to finish in front of Patronato, to be honest, even though Patronato is an Argentinian club.
but they are in the second
Yeah,
division. They are in second league
Pat-
because they are in
exactly.
Libertadores because they won Argentinian Cup.
Yeah, yeah, the League Cup, because
Yeah,
Argentina
it's,
now is like England; they have two cups.
Okay.
it's such a mess. Like
Yeah, Argentina.
And
Yeah,
both can see the
Argentina.
spot to the Libertadores.
the league.
I believe so.
Oh
Uh,
wow. Okay.
it really changes every year. The Argentinian league is like what Brazil was like this in the '90s, where every single year you had to like look up the format of the league.
Yeah.
Argentina's like that today. But yeah, it's interesting because last year or 2 years ago we had Tigre, also from Argentina, who won the cup, got relegated, and played the Libertadores as a second division team. Now Patronato was able to do that, which is even. I thought it was even cooler because they're a team from the countryside, from a very small
Yeah,
town, first time playing the tournament, and they managed in the very last match to win the game, finish third. So they're continuing their international streak. If I'm not mistaken, they played Botafogo and lost in Rio, right, in the Copa Sudamericana. So it's not looking great for them, but it's still sort of a Cinderella story for a very, very small club in Argentina.
and
And
unfortunately, they are not in the top of the second division Argentinian league. So
yeah,
Okay. So they're
yeah,
not expected to come up.
no, not
No.
really.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, that wraps up the group stages, guys. Now we're gonna read some comments really quickly, but then we'll get to the round of 16. Not too many comments to go through. Anthony says, let me take this off. Big up, cousin. The panel have a good show. I'm off to study more Portuguese. Wish me luck. Anthony's one of those guys that, like, so rare to see one of those guys that likes to learn the naughty things to say before anything else. Yeah. So yeah, he's usually talking like saying something about breasts in Portuguese. That's usually his motto. Yeah, naughty boy. And up the Bahia quality team. Yeah, Anthony decided to support Bahia for some reason.
Yeah.
Good
Quality
evening,
team is
everyone.
arguable.
DX, my man, always supporting us. Thank you so much for being here once again. Messi should have come back to South America to win this competition. Would have been way more exciting compared to the MLS circus. I there's two sides of this conversation. I think it's very exciting what's going on with him in the MLS right now. But sure, like if you're talking about like the nostalgia of having Lionel Messi and actually like playing in Argentina, that would have been so cool.
If
So cool.
Messi doesn't go back to Newell's to play against Always Ready, 4,400 meters above sea level, soccer is dead to me.
There it is.
It's really difficult for this. I think that only Brazilian teams can bring those stars back to South America.
It would have to
Yeah,
be out of passion. He would have to give
yeah.
up everything and do it for the love.
And I think,
Especially for Newell's, if he came out of River or Boca, they would have given him a decent salary, a decent project around him. But a team like Newell's, it's for the love.
but it's actually, I think it's a family thing because right here in Colombia last month, Millonarios owners they sat down with Radamel Falcao to discuss terms to bring him back to Colombia, because actually Falcao is a Millonarios fan, and
Really?
they all agreed that it's not about football project, it's not about maybe money, it's about the family. These people is just so used to live in their bubbles, like, because they won a lot of money. So it's really difficult for them to come back to countries like these ones, like Colombia, like Argentina, that are, we struggle a lot with many social problems that we have right here. So uh, compare, they were living in Monaco 2 3 years ago and came back to Bogota, that is chaotic. Is something that we don't see happening right here in Colombia with such a big stars like Messi and, for example, Falcao for us Colombians, and even James. He decided to go to Sao Paulo instead of coming to a Colombian team, and it's because of that.
Yeah. Well, Quintero went back to junior, right? But I don't know.
Yeah, but he
Quintero's a
was
different.
never. Yeah, he was never the star that we expect him to be.
Yeah.
He was never at the. I mean, I love him. I really like Quintero as a player, but he was never as big as Falcao or James Rodriguez
Of
because of
course.
he rather sing reggaeton than play when he was in in Italia.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of international, before we get into the round of 16, a quick word from one of our sponsors. Let me put this up real quick. John, you wanna walk us through this? Let me put the website here, and then I'll show the promo code as well. But if you want to walk us through this,
Yeah, absolutely. For those who have followed us before, thank you for being back again. We're still sponsoring this show. And for those who are watching for the first time, I have an online vintage jersey soccer shop, golazokits.com, as you can see on the banner there. We have jerseys from all over the world. We try to get as many South American kits as possible from every country. We've expanded our inventory significantly since the last time we've spoken. Yeah, you can see we even have Fortaleza from Colombia, which is tough to find. Old school Millonarios, a little bit of everything for everyone. So yeah, check it out. If you're a collector, we ship worldwide. Doesn't matter where you are. The jerseys will get to you. And if you are interested, use promo code F.I.T.A is back. F.I.T.A.ISBACK. All together, all caps. That'll give you 15% off your order at checkout. And yeah, give it a look. I'm sure there's something you'll like. There's something for everyone.
all right. How fancy are we? Awesome. Thank you once again for sharing that, my man. It's an amazing store. Do check it out. They have like it's a huge, immense catalog. So let's get to the round of 16 now. And well, the first game is this one that's going to segue us into well, a sad topic that we probably should talk about. So even before getting into the game, Fluminense finishing first in their group, they faced Argentinos Juniors, who finished second in theirs. In Argentina, it was 1-1. We'll get to the game in a little bit. But the biggest thing in that game was definitely the horrific injury suffered by Luciano, right? Luciano Sanchez.
Sanchez.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and who, by the way, like I didn't know that before, but like most of his career was in the second division. He was just getting his big break. He's 29, so he just got into a bigger team who plays like usually plays in the first division, who's very competitive in Argentinos Juniors. And yeah, Marcelo was dribbling. It wasn't a foul. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I've seen the clip. Check it out if you want to. It's sort of like it's hard to stomach. So if you're sensitive to that kind of thing,
Yeah.
like the knee just goes in the direction it shouldn't. Like, and it wasn't a tackle or anything like that. I caution you. We're gonna show you the X-ray image just because I feel like there's very little chance that there's gonna create a fine or create a ban for copyright here, and it's not as hard to stomach as the actual play would have been. But what I want to get is I don't think we actually put up a poll, so I just want to get you guys' opinion, and if you guys have seen the clip in the chat as well. I want to know your thoughts about the red card itself because it's obvious that Marcelo didn't mean to break his leg, obviously. But there could be a discussion, like if Marcelo like could have been more careful, perhaps. He did open his legs a little more than what you would call like a natural movement. I don't know. And yeah, like Johnny, yeah, that's it. Like that's how the knee is looking right now. Like it's usually together, and it's freaking horrible. And it was a really emotional scene. Like the game stopped for like a good 10 or 15 minutes or something. Like there was a lot of stoppage there. Most of the players were very emotional. Marcelo, who was sent off, like I'm sure he would have been subbed off because there was no condition for him to keep playing. Like he was crying his eyes out when he saw what he did. There was no intensity. Like no one got up to Marcelo saying, "What did you do?" No one demanded a red card. Like there was nothing like that. But yeah, Esteban, just because I've already had this conversation with Johnny, so I'm not as curious. But Esteban, my man, do you feel like Marcelo should have been sent off for that? Let me take this image out. I'm sorry.
Well, I think it was correct to send him off, despite
Mhm.
of he had the intention of or not. It's a play that you are completely taking a player out of the other team. And when they check the video in the VIR, I think that it was pretty clear for the referee, and it has happened in other games. I think, of course, this is the most horrific thing that I have seen in football. I think that along with Christian Eriksen's situation back in the Euro, I think that this is the thing that has really took my eyes away from the TV and say I just can't stand this. But yeah, I think it was a good decision. Really sad for Luciano, as you said. He started to his, I don't know, like his real professional football career right now. And you never expect. You know that when you're playing football, you are always in a constant risk, maybe of getting punched, of getting a ball in the face or a ball in nuts, whatever. But I don't think that you think that you can get this kind of injury. I think that Argentinos Juniors medical head, he said that in 15 years of career, he had never seen such a thing. He completely broke everything that a knee has. I don't know how to call them in Spanish, not even in English, but a knee is full of different things. They are,
Ligaments and
yeah,
yeah.
they are completely broken. So it's at least 1 year out of the fields. If I think if he can come back to play football after this, but yeah, I think it was good to send him off. And the nice thing is that he approached it to Argentino's team after the game, and he looked for Luciano. He even apologized for something that he never wasn't meant to do. And Luciano, I had the chance to see Luciano's interview the day after the game,
I did too. Yeah.
and yeah, he said like just it's okay, man. It's a play thing. Some shit happens. It happened to me, and he even said, "I rather that this happened to me than to any other teammate." So this shows what kind of person Luciano Sanchez is, and also shows what kind of person Marcelo is. He even posted in Instagram he will never do this on purpose to a colleague, to a profession colleague. And yeah, unfortunately, this I think that it took all of the lights from the game, and we are just talking about the injury. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Johnny, do you want to add anything to that? Do you want to give your thoughts on the red card, on the
Yeah, I
repercussions
agree
as
with
well?
Esteban that he should have gotten sent off. I'm kind of on the rationale that if you can even not on purpose foul someone, if you can not on purpose commit a penalty, if you can not on purpose have a handball, then you can not on purpose get a red card.
Break somebody's
Um,
leg.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think the referee told Marcelo exactly that. I know it wasn't on purpose. I know you didn't want to do it, but I have to give you a red card. Marcelo agreed and walked off. Um, so yeah, that's my opinion. I don't think there's been talks about him getting more than a 1 game suspension. I think that's unnecessary. But the red card at that moment, I think, was what he should have gotten. And yeah, I mean, I hope for the best for the defender.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's the kind of thing that happens. And
Yeah.
the game ended up 1-1, right? Because it's with all this talk about this injury, it's almost easy to forget that Argentinos Juniors goalkeeper also got a red card just maybe 10, 15 minutes later.
Yeah.
And the game ended up 1-1. So with a tie in Argentina, I think Fluminense is favored to get the win at home. But right before this podcast started, me and Charlie were talking about how that is the kind of event that a team can rally around and say, guys, let's do this for him, and find energy and strength where you usually won't find.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's gonna be a very intense game. I don't think it's the kind of thing that is there's gonna be any violence. Anyone's gonna try to get back at the Brazilian players for what they did or anything like that. But I really feel like the Argentinos Juniors is gonna try to really to give 110%. I know that's a cliche, but to try to get that win for their injured teammate.
I agree. Just on the red card, really quickly, I sit on the other side of the argument from you guys. I'm not here arguing like I didn't think it was shocking for the red card to happen. Like I expected it to happen just because it was so shocking to see. And I'm not here arguing that Fluminense was, that the ref like screwed us over. No, because I think about it like practically actually, I feel like Fluminense like got like benefited from that situation because the game pretty much stopped. Like no one was actually like wanting to play football there, and they ran out of subs because they had one more player, so they wanted to attack, but they just didn't have it in them, right? Because no one had passion there. Then in a play that was also like quite, like quite, you could argue that the red card was kind of harsh for the goalkeeper. Then they were also a man down. They had to play a striker on goal, and I'm pretty sure a professional goalkeeper would have saved that, even though it was a nice shot from Samuel Xavier. But I just feel like for the red card itself, I feel like you have to, like you don't have to have intent, but you have to be at least playing in a risky manner. And if I don't want to sound like an asshole, but I feel like Sanchez was playing more in a risky manner than Marcelo himself. Because Marcelo was like he was dribbling like he was expected to. Sanchez kind of slid. I don't know, like it wasn't totally natural. I feel like he slipped a little bit, and his leg literally like landed on top. If you watch it on slow motion, you might even interpret the crazy thing that Marcelo like purposely stepped on him. I get that even if it was an accident, the red card was like, as I said again, like I don't think Fluminense was screwed by the ref. I just feel like by the rule book, the red card wasn't supposed to be given. And I don't think it was crazy for Fluminense to try to revert that, even though like I didn't see a point in doing that. And I thought it was horrible for Diniz, who's our manager and the Seleção manager, to speak so like he was quite furious, like talking about the situation, saying the red card was absurd when the focus shouldn't be there in that situation. I do think he was very insensitive, but I disagree with the red card. And when it comes to the game, I agree with Johnny. I'm very afraid of the just the heat that these players are gonna walk into the field with. I just feel like Fluminense has a very like we have a lot of passion in our team. We are the time de guerreiros, right? Like the team of warriors, but they're gonna have a lot of passion. They're gonna trying to win it for their fallen soldiers. So I'm afraid. Logic says Fluminense wins. We've been remarkable at home. Like Fluminense has like near 80% when we're playing at home. Like we've been really good, and we haven't been good away. We got the draw, so we should be okay. But I just have that little fear on the back of my head that they're gonna play so well. Like 9 of the 11 players are gonna have the game of their lives, and they're just gonna be too much. I don't know. If I'm to place a bet, I'm still betting on Fluminense, but I'm really scared. Really scared. Esteban, do you have any thoughts on this one? By the way, Maddie, if you're watching this, we're going over the hour, and I apologize.
Actually, not. I agree with you guys. I think it's going to be a great match for the second leg, and it's one to watch right now. Not because of what happened, but because it's a small Argentinian team, a giant Brazilian team, and they tied. Anything can happen. So yeah, that's my thought.
Right? Well, just who's going through, Johnny?
Fluminense,
Esteban?
but it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, we're all we're all in the same mindset then.
Mhm.
All right. Did anyone watch this one?
I
Atletico.
didn't watch
By,
it.
by the way, guys, like this, the way it's set here, like this is the game that's going to be happening this week.
Yeah,
So the team on the right played at home last week. That's the result you're looking at. Sorry, Esteban, I interrupted you.
I didn't watch this one, but it was surprising. I mean, we all know that Bolivian teams are really really strong at in home because of the altitude, but
La
no one
altura.
expected this just because of how Paranaense is performing. And I know that a lot of Barcelona fans' eyes are on Paranaense right now because of Outigrinho, but we definitely never expect this to happen. And they have two goal differences is quite a lot. And if they I don't know. I think that they will go to Brazil to just defend the result, and who knows, this could be surprising, and actually a lot of people from Spain are wishing to Paranaense get kicked off the competition so Vitor Roque can go to Barcelona right now. But yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting match.
Yeah,
Johnny?
it's it was just a classic game in the Bolivian altitude where Atletico Paranaense managed to get a goal. I think it was within the first 2 or 3 minutes, very very early goal. And then as time went by, players start getting tired, you start losing your breath, and Bolívar started scoring one after the other. It is a pretty big difference. It's also important to point out that the Libertadores decided to adopt the same rule as UEFA, so there's no away goal anymore. So
Huge
if
difference.
Atlético Paranaense wins 2-0, they don't go through. The game goes to penalty kicks. Um,
There's
so
no
yeah,
extra time?
No, yeah, I thought that was weird as well. Straight to PKs, except for the final.
Really.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
do you guys feel about that?
Um, I don't hate it. I don't. I feel like overtime usually is the team stop risking because no one wants
Yeah.
to. So unless there's like a goal in the corner kick or something, like no one wants to take that risk. So I don't mind going directly to penalties. But I'm probably in the minority here, but I have a feeling Bolivar is going to go through. Something tells me, even though Atlético Paranaense is very strong at home, uh, I think unarguably the better roster. I think Bolivar is going to pull this one out.
All right. If we're on the guessing part already, I think Paranaense are gonna reverse this. I think I haven't watched too much of Vitor Hockey. Like I know he's very hyped right now. So I recently got to studying him a little bit, and I'm so impressed. If he's in one of his days, like it's tough to defend against him. He looks like a senior attacker. Like he's so calm on the ball. And they do have Fernandinho and Atlético Paranaense recently made like they're a team made for cups. Like you're
Yeah,
not going to see them compete for the Brasileirão anytime soon. I think that's a long time from becoming a reality. They won 2001. They might never win again. But when it comes to cups, they're good. They're
yeah,
good. They mean business, and they are a much better side, like player to player. So I think it's gonna be tough, but I see Atlético Paranaense qualifying. What about you, Esteban?
I wish Bolivar goes through actually, just to see a Bolivian team in the quarterfinals. It will be amazing.
yeah.
All right, all right. Let's go to this is one of the better games of the round of 16. Inter and River Plate. I actually watched a good chunk of this game. I was very surprised when Inter jumped in front, but River were just like they were killers in the second half. Killers.
I expect River Plate to win in Brazil again.
I think so too.
To be honest, I think Inter didn't really. It's hard to talk about deserving a goal because a goal is a goal, but um, I think Inter found that goal in a set piece, and honestly, I think they should have defended more that result. I feel like their coach opened up the team more than he should have playing in Argentina. But
Yeah.
River Plate's the better team. They're more organized. Inter just fired their coach, got a new one. I think he's only 3 games in right now. So um, I don't only expect River Plate to go through, but to win again in Brazil.
Yeah. I think so too. Inter like they just finished second in Brasileirão, right? Last season. But they've been
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah,
They've
yeah.
been they've been so
No, 2 years ago.
unimpressive.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, my bad.
Yeah.
They've been so unimpressive. Like Inter, ever since those golden days, like back in 2006, like Inter's just, I don't know. Yeah, and River Plate is just immense. Like that's the non-Brazilian team that I'm scared of the most. And Fluminense actually faces River Plate very frequently,
Yeah.
and we don't do too poorly, but it's just the biggest threat coming outside of Brazil generally speaking. Like recently, they're just immense, and I think they're gonna beat Inter too. Even though like Valencia is a good player, World Cup player there that scored that goal for Inter, and he's been playing okay. He had a fight with
Yeah,
Adriano, but he scored
that's
again.
not right.
Yeah.
He fought with everyone. I think with a teammate, then with a coach assistant.
Do you know the
Yeah.
full extent of that, Johnny? Because I don't know too much about that. Like, because they just say it's been squashed, right? So they're not gonna reveal too much.
Yeah, no, I think they did a pretty good job at keeping the details to themselves. So we'll see. But I think it's uh it's going to take at least a month in order for the new coach to implement his style, for the new players that just came in this transfer window to find their place in the squad. So I think Inter should do better towards the end of the season, but it's too late in terms of this matchup right now.
All right, good. Esteban, do you agree? Do you feel like River's gonna go through?
I agree with you guys. I actually didn't expect that goal from Inter just before the first half ends, but Paulo Solari just came as a super sub, and he was just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
If you take a look at the game statistics, it just reflects what the game was. River was super dominant, and it's really good to see how different is this the Michelis River to the Gallardos one, but they somehow they're just as good as the other one. So with different names, and I think that, but right now they are losing one of their best players. He's going to Benfica, Lucas Beltran,
Okay.
and he's going to play the second match against Inter, and then he's going to Portugal. But they have big names in the bench as Salomon Rondon and Miguel Angel Borja, just to replace Beltran. I don't think they are going to bring anyone to replace him, but I think that River Plate is definitely a name to consider to the title.
Yeah,
100%.
I think so too. All right. Boca and Nacional.
This was
That,
poor,
yeah, that was the only 0-0 in the.
and game was kind of shadowed by the fans, because there was a lot of fights by
Yeah.
Boca fans and Nacional fans. Yeah, in around the stadium, even inside the stadium. So yeah, this was a poor game.
Yeah. And my feeling about this game was that Nacional like gave 100%, killed themselves on the field, played the game of their lives, and 0-0 at home. So even though Boca is also kind of a mess right now, I feel like in Argentina they'll get very standard 1-0, 2-0, and go through. But this year I don't think Boca is going to go too much further than this.
No, I agree that they're not as favorites as they have been in the past in the Libertadores, but for this one, guys, like if you have a chance, like if you come to South America to watch a football game, I feel like La Bombonera is a good,
It's
like it's
really
one of those.
it's
They
really
they
hard to go there.
no, yeah, but just if you manage to,
Yeah.
like the experience of watching La Bombonera, watching a game in Bombonera, I'd say it's one of those top games you should
Yeah,
seek to watch.
because I think that only how do you say that in English? Like the associates? I don't know.
Yeah. Like the club
Like season ticket
members.
holders, right?
Yeah, club members can go to. Actually, I think that Boca Junior has more club members than stadium capacity.
Hmm.
So only club members can go to the stadium, and these club members they resell the tickets, and it's really expensive, and it's even more expensive to go to where the popular, um like the hooligans, how do you say that,
Yeah.
the,
The
the battle
ultras.
ground.
The
Yeah,
ultras, yeah, the ultras.
yeah, where they are there, it's even more, even though it should be cheaper, and legally it's cheaper, but they resell it even more expensive because of the experience, what you say.
Yeah,
Actually,
Hmm.
we
makes
saw
sense.
like 2 months ago Andre Herrera with Bocas Ultras in a game.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
All right, going to well, everyone expects Boca to go through, right? So let's
They have
Yeah.
Cavani
go.
now as well.
That's
Hmm?
true. Important point, Cavani. I think that's going to be his first game actually for
Coach
Boca.
Oh,
coach said that,
that's fun
yeah.
to watch.
He
That's
Yeah.
fun
said
to watch for
he
sure.
expected to wait a little bit to play Cavani, but he said he's in such a good shape. He's impressed that he's probably going to be a starter in this game.
I'm a big fan of Cavani's, and it's such a good fit with
You
just
can't
the
hate him. You
spirit.
can hate him. He's
Yeah.
a great player.
Yeah, the spirit of Boca and Cavani, it's just a perfect fit. Like it's a match made in heaven. I feel like it's gonna work out. Um, yeah, I feel like you guys were expecting this matchup just from the analysis of the group stage. I feel like you're excited to talk about this one, so I'm gonna let you guys have it.
So
Um,
Esteban, correct me if I'm wrong, but for me, this is the most open match of the round of 16. This one I really don't know because I think if I gave you this matchup 6 months ago, it would have been Independiente del Valle. They're going to go
For
through
sure.
easy. But what I've seen from Pereira in this Libertadores, getting the 1-0 at home in the first leg, I wouldn't be surprised if the game ended in a tie in Ecuador and Pereira went through.
It will be surprising because we have seen great performances from Pereira away. For example, they got robbed in La Bombonera. They got robbed in La Bombonera. Referee played for Boca Juniors is something really common for such a big teams. But they are really, really good playing away. As you said, as you were saying before in the group stages analysis, Pereira they try to get the tie in the in all of their away home plays. So it should be they I think that they are preparing this match so much that they have lost the two first games right here in the Colombian league. So they are so focused in this game. I think that by far is the most important game in their history. So it will be a joy for all the Colombian people because as you were saying, when the draw was made, we said Independiente del Valle is over for Pereira. It's over because the Recopa winners, Ecuadorian Giants, Colombia small team. So yeah, that's what we all thought. But it would be amazing to see them there. Even though I cheer for Independiente del Valle, I really like this team. But of course, in this for this specifically match, I will go with Pereira. I really hope Pereira to go to next round.
All right, Johnny.
Man, I really think it's a toss up. I think I want to say Pereira because I really feel the Once Calda vibes with Pereira. And then it's interesting to see because in the next round they'll play either Palmeiras or Atlético Mineiro. So then that's going to be the real test.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either way. I kind of want Pereira to go through. It's tough. It's tough.
Who am I to disagree with you guys? So I'll go with Pereira too. Sure. This one I was not expecting Palmeiras to win in Minas. I wasn't like I was expecting Palmeiras to win the matchup, right? Like to go through. But win outside of it's not like Palmeiras has been playing very well. They've been quite poor. Given what Palmeiras has become recently, right? Like one of the big dogs in the continent. Palmeiras has been struggling a bit, losing a couple of games. But yeah, they went away and won in Minas, so it's hard to see them losing the game in São Paulo now. But do you guys disagree?
Well, Palmeiras hasn't been doing great, but Atlético Mineiro has been doing significantly worse. Up until
Today?
2 hours ago,
Yeah.
Atlético Mineiro was on a 11-game winless streak, which is a lot. 11
Yeah.
games winless is a lot. So, but they just won a league game. That ended 2 hours and 15 minutes ago to be exact. So that could be the game that like changes things for them. I'm sure that's how the coach is going to try to spin it. That's how the players are going to try to interpret this as a change of tide for them. But all that being said, Palmeiras is favorited. They're playing home. They're the better team. They're in better form. They've been better in the last 3 years. They have the better coach.
They're gonna be more rested too. I feel like Atletico is the only team that's playing Libertadores that didn't rest anyone. Did they?
Yeah, Palmeiras played yesterday with their reserve team. Atletico played today with their starters.
Yeah.
So there's also that. So yeah, it would be shocked. I think the only chance Atletico has is Hulk scores a magic goal. They hold the 1-0 and go to penalties or something like that. But it's going to be very, very hard. I think if they play this 20 times, 19 times, Palmeiras goes through.
Yeah.
I agree with you guys. I just want Mineiro out. Actually, I just want them out. They kicked Millonarios out of the Libertadores in the previous stages. So yeah, it was. They. I don't know if you watched that game. when Hulk, I think Hulk scored a goal right here in Bogota, and he went to the corner and to celebrate, and he was super cocky, so everyone started to throw coins at him. I was one of those people that get out of here. So yeah, I don't like Mineiro anymore. So
Correct me if I'm wrong, but was that the game that Millonarios scored 1-0 and then they had a penalty and they missed the penalty? It could have been 2-0, right? And then
yeah,
Atletico
that's
tied.
it.
Yeah.
So yes, I just want them out because of that.
Good enough reason for me.
Yeah, that's it.
Interesting fact: Hulk is nowadays married to a girl who was once the niece of his ex-wife.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Interesting
think everyone
fact.
at some point read that story.
Crazy.
Pretty crazy. Yeah.
If you didn't know that, now you do.
He's married to
Okay.
his niece.
Yeah, we're almost done here. So Racing Club and Atlético Nacional, that was the most like the highest scoring game
Insane
of the
game.
first leg.
Was
Completely
amazing
insane.
game.
Esteban can
Amazing.
talk
Go ahead.
better about it.
Yeah, I think that the thing that we are most impressed about is how Nacional is always prepared for these kind of games. Like I said, you expect them to win even though they are not performing well right here in Colombia's league, but they have such big names. And the other thing is that many, I don't know if Argentinians journalists, they said that this is the best pair that Racing could have, the best draw, because Nacional is shit at the moment, because Colombian clubs are shit at the moment. So this is the best thing for Racing. They were super confident for Racing to go through. Match is not over, of course, but yes, Nacional is, they are two-time Libertadores winners. They are not such a small team here in Colombia that you can just uh, look over. But it was an amazing game, really fun to watch. And yeah, I think that for me, this Nacional is going to go through. Actually, they are in a good chance to go to the semifinals because if they win, they go against Nacional or Boca, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nacional or Boca, and Nacional and Boca are not two big names at the moment. So yes, that's my thoughts. Just to shut the journalists up and see like another Colombian, even though I don't like them, but yeah, it's good to see them there.
It's interesting that that was the reaction of the Argentinian reporters because in Brazil was the opposite. I think they were saying that Flamengo was better off playing against Olimpia and not Nacional. Like it would have been worse to play against Nacional. So it's funny how those perspectives work. I think Brazilians take history more into consideration.
Yeah.
Atletico Nacional won 7 years ago. Well, now it's been a little while, but it feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
I kind of expect Nacional to go through. I think Racing at home could win, but I don't know if they're gonna win by a 2 goal difference, especially having lost their number 10, Matias Rojas.
But they now have Quintero, but I don't know if he will be able to play. I don't know if he's fit to play, but they have Quintero now.
Yeah,
I mean, this is one of those games that's kind of tough for me to predict something, so I'll just go with you guys as well. Just stick with Atlético Nacional. And this, I thought Flamengo was gonna easily beat Olimpia in Rio. Flamengo was really lucky to finish second and get Olimpia because they were much better sides, even though Olimpia is a big club. And yes, Flamengo are favorites, but I feel like it's quite open, right? Like if Flamengo makes a mistake, there it is. They're in the PKs. So
kind of. So there's a context of Paraguayan soccer that I think always has to be taken into consideration, which is there's only one club that can play in their home stadium, which is Cerro Porteño. Everyone else has to play in Defensores del Chaco, which is where the national team plays, which is an enormous stadium, usually very cold because most teams can't fill it. Olimpia is one of those teams that can, but it's still not their home stadium. So I don't know. Paraguay is one of those places where Brazilian teams can go and not feel like they're playing away as
Yeah.
much as Argentina, as much as Colombia, as much as Uruguay, et cetera, et cetera. So even though 1-0 I think is less than what most people expected Flamengo to win by, I think it's enough. Just like we said that River Plate should go to Brazil and beat Inter again, I expect Flamengo to go to Paraguay and beat Olimpia again. Especially because Olimpia, which their strong point is to defend themselves, now has to attack.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that's everything that Flamengo wants.
Do you second that, Esteban?
Yeah, I agree. I have no doubt that Flamengo will go through. It will be shocking if they don't. So another. I think that this is Flamengo's games are always fun to watch. They are so good. They are. I think that's the best team in South America at the moment.
Yeah, very offensive, always.
Oh, the best team in South America right now is Botafogo, but they're not playing in Libertadores.
So they're not the best.
But yeah, but yeah, I mean, of course I would love for Flamengo to be out because I know it's coming if they go through and we do too. But yeah, I don't see it happening. I do feel like it's open. Like I was expecting Flamengo to like finish this matchup in the first leg, just win 3-0 and like rest Gabigol for the second game. But no, they're actually gonna have to play their starting team, like take it seriously. But I feel like they could very easily win Paraguay as well. So all right, guys, we've been here for 80 minutes, but like if we've been here so long, what's 10 more minutes? I'm gonna quickly, if you guys don't mind. And by the way, 6 people watching now, like it was 5 or 6 throughout the show. Thank you so much for the support. If you're still watching, please give it a share, a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. But let me put the bracket here because we're going to play a little guessing game so that we can come to terms with who's winning the Libertadores. Let's play the Magic Octopus. And yeah, let's do this. Let me just put this slightly bigger here so that we can see everything. Okay. All right. Starting with, we've already put, given our, let me take this banner off. I don't need Flamengo written twice in my screen. I apologize for that, guys. I know it's traumatizing. Okay. So here it is. We already gave our predictions for this for the round of 16, so we're just going to skip it. So we said Atlético Nacional should take it against Racing, and we said Boca. Right. So who do you guys reckon takes that one?
It's going to be tough to see how much better Boca is going to be with Cavani. If you take Cavani out of the equation, I would say Nacional. But I think Cavani's a big factor. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah,
I agree. I think your cat disagrees with you.
Yeah, Esteban, sorry guys. It's close to his dinner time. He's pissed.
Esteban, do you agree with Johnny or his cat?
Definitely I agree with Johnny. I really think that Cavani is going to be a difference, marked difference in these games, and it's going to be really tight. But we expect Boca to go through.
Right. I'll go with Boca too. All right. So the other one, it would be then Palmeiras, who we think is going to beat Atlético, and Pereira, who we think is going to beat. Okay, that's going to be tough for Pereira, who we think is going to beat Independiente. Is there any way you see Pereira going through that one?
Fairy tale is over for Pereira, but I think it was a good trip for them through the Libertadores. But Palmeiras is definitely another one to watch team for the title.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. Palmeiras beats Pereira. But if Pereira goes, let's not forget, Once Caldas beat Santos in the quarterfinals, São Paulo in the semifinal, and Boca in the final. So, and no one expected any of those for Once Caldas. But if I were to bet my money, I would take the safe bet. Palmeiras goes through, and they play Boca in the semifinal.
What made it so special then is that it doesn't happen frequently,
exactly.
Right? So it's okay. Let's go with the order. Like I'm gonna be able to remember those two names. So then we have this one was actually the only one that we were divided on. So we're just gonna have to say, like, do you guys feel like River Plate goes through no matter who it is, even if it's Atlético Paranaense or Bolívar, or do you feel like that changes, like depending on who places.
River Plate is favored against both of those.
Yep. I think that and River actually they already had an altitude experience in this Copa Libertadores. So surely Martin de Michelis won't make the same mistakes as first game with the strongest.
Yeah,
Very good
that makes
point.
sense. That's a good point. Um, Flamengo and Fluminense.
I mean, I think Flamengo's favored, but
Yeah.
it's I think it's, I don't know, if I were to give it a percentage, I would say 55% Flamengo, 45 Fluminense. I think it's very close, but I think Flamengo found themselves with Sampaoli, and just player by player, Flamengo's better. So unless Flamengo gets in the way of himself, which happens often, but if they don't, Flamengo's favored.
I gotta go
Esteban?
with John in this
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I am sorry.
Nah, it's all good. I get it. And if I'm to place money on it without the club bias, I feel like Flamengo would take it too. It should be said, like it's a rivalry, right? But
Yeah,
like if
the club
Flamengo
too.
wins this, it's just another win for Flamengo. Fluminense winning this means a lot. Like it would mean a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say something bold. I feel like Fluminense is not gonna go through Flamengo. We might even lose to Argentinos Juniors just because of the circumstances. If Fluminense goes through Flamengo, I feel like we stand a good chance of winning this. Like I feel like the spirits are going to be quite high. Then like it's going to be us, River, Palmeiras, like probably the strongest clubs there.
The rematch against River Plate is going to be, I wouldn't miss
Crazy.
that game for anything.
No, no, no. Yeah, that would be so cool. That'd be so cool to watch. Then again, River and Flamengo in the semifinals. It's another crazy game as well. Right, let's go to the semifinals then, where we would have Boca and Palmeiras.
Palmeiras,
Palmeiras as well.
even with Cavani. Yeah.
Palmeiras, even with Cavani. I agree with that. And then we have River and Flamengo.
River.
I will go with River as well. But it is my heart replying, not my mind.
There's a factor to be considered, though. By the time they play this game, is going to be end of September, beginning of October. We're going to be at the very end of the Brazilian season, and at the sort of almost halfway through the Argentinian season. So in theory, River Plate's players are going to be a lot more in shape, a lot more well rested, because right now they're on break.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if it's against Flamengo, River takes it. If it's against Fluminense, we take it. That's what I have to say there. And then for the final that we expect to see then would be Palmeiras and River Plate.
River Plate champions 2023.
Okay.
I would love to see River Plate champions of the Libertadores for the Michelis, for the team. I really like River Plate, and I think that it's the only thing in South America that from 5-6 years ago can stop Brazilian dominance.
Yeah.
Dominance, yeah, is the only thing for me that they can do that, because, like I said, it's not a surprise to see that they are performing this good with the Michelis. They are it's just in their DNA to win. So I expect them to win as well.
It's cool that we came to that we got to River Plate winning here, because one of the topics that I almost raised was exactly this: like, is Brazil going to keep its dynasty because we've been winning? Not we, Brazilian teams have been winning recently, and apparently, like we see a good chance of a non-Brazilian winning in River Plate. If it's not River, from the matchups here, like maybe you could argue that Boca perhaps maybe like stands a minor chance there,
Or
depending on the
Independiente
Cavani.
del Valle, if they manage to overcome Pereira, I think Independiente del Valle will be another team to see in the final.
Yeah, I mean they would have to overcome Palmeiras right after that though. Like it's a tougher road.
I think that would be a closer matchup than most people imagine.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that Independiente del Valle is so used to play against Brazilian teams that they will do amazing against Palmeiras. If they don't go through, it will be a great match to watch.
Right. So there was, guys. Those are our predictions. Unfortunately, no one thinks Fluminense is going to win the Libertadores. That's very sad. But then again, you guys' teams aren't winning either, so you know.
We're all in the same boat.
I'm far
Yeah,
from winning the
we're all in the same
Libertadores.
boat.
Far from winning.
I'd be very happy for River Plate winning as well. So okay, let me take this out. Then guys, it's been a really long stream, very well supported. 8 people watching at some point. Thank you so much. Nitesh, thank you for the support. Jumping in later on. Yeah, Arsenal beat Man City today. My little my little place of happiness there. And I will all these tips to make my bets and see the result. Okay, do well. Take their words for it, not mine. For the love
I
of
take
God,
no responsibility.
Definitely not.
well,
Not financial advices here.
Yeah,
if you're
this
to
is not
trust
financial
someone,
advice.
if you're to trust someone, please do trust these two fine gentlemen before trusting me. Nitesh, you know that. But guys, thank you so much. Let me give you the solo layout here so that you can tell people where to find you, what to do. Esteban, my man, thank you so much for being back. Hopefully, you'll be here with us almost every Sunday. And yeah, where can people find you?
I hope so. You can find me at Esfel in my social media. Thank you very much for having me here. You know that I really enjoy about speaking about football with you guys. It doesn't matter if it's South American football, international football, whatever. So it's kind of my thing right now. So thank you very much, and thank you for everyone watching and everyone in the comments. Hope to see you next Sunday.
All right. Thank you, my man. Here's Johnny.
Hey guys, yeah, same. Thank you all for watching. Those who watch live, those who are watching later. My personal social media is very uneventful, so don't follow me there. Follow my store, Golasso at Golasso Kids. Check out the website, golassokids.com. We make pretty cool content. We have close to 5,000 jerseys. They're all authentic, all original from all over the world. Anything from Barcelona to second division in Congo, and that's not an exaggeration. So check it out. And again, we ship worldwide, so it doesn't matter where you are, we can get them to you.
Awesome. Thank you once again. Guys, that was it. Please, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, support this lovely channel, support Maddie, support Anthony in the shows he's hosting. Well, you can follow me on Instagram if you choose to. I don't do anything football related there. Sometimes I post a funky picture because I like acting every now and then. But that's that one there. Charlie at Charlie Miller 93. Follow Football United TV on Twitter. That's at Football United TV. And that's it. We should be back next Sunday talking about the MLS with the new arrival of Lionel Messi. And let me get the outro here. Guys, thank you so much for watching such a long stream. It's good to be back. Ciao.